What else would anybody be thinking of on Christmas Eve? Would anybody be thinking of anything besides Spitfires? The one thing about Spitfires, there's so many things to choose from. It's just hard not to find something you like. Well, I'll tell you another thing, you just never have too many Spitfire books. How to counter-rotating props. Oh, really oil on the bottom of this thing. It's like British motorcycles, they leak all over the place. Unusual photo of one with a tiger mouth. What's the point? The point is, even while paint is drying and while we're doing Christmas stuff, wrapping presents and running trains and everything, I'm still dreaming about the next Spitfire that's coming off the production line here. Now here's a cool picture in the book. This is the book that Kenny gave me, but check it out. The guy's filling up the Spitfire. And look at what it says on the sign here. Not for resale. You picture guys filling up their Jaguars and stuff with this fuel. Yeah, you think it's cold out here. You should be painting that Cardinal. Holy mackerel. Gotta put a glove on, it's so cold. Look at that propeller. If there isn't something about that propeller, I don't know what it is. 5-bladed props. Here's one variation even I've never seen in these hundreds of pictures I've looked at. The triple cannons. It'd be something nice to model. Yeah, I'm just looking for ideas. Great to have this while paint is drying. Oh, here's another shark mouth version. That's something I haven't considered, but something that's... Hey, I'm looking for ideas. The whole idea here is something's going to dawn on me and all of a sudden a firecracker will go off in my head and I'll say, yes, that's what I want to build. It's great that I have the books, and it's great that I have this time working on this little Cardinal for John Brodak, that it gives me some time to really come up with what I hope is going to be the foundation of next year's plane, that I-beamer. Hey, that's President Nixon flying a Spitfire. Think of that. And in case Spitfires weren't enough for you, we're playing this footage in the shop of the 614 from the Signal Bridge. I know this is Steve DeJulia's favorite footage. Watch this. This is something to do on a Christmas day. Look, he's getting ready to... Yeah, we know.
Flagpole or something. This is not me doing this.
This was some adventure, boy. I'll tell you. This was an unbelievable adventure. Every time I make a copy of this for somebody, I think, oh my God. Anyway, this was a great weekend. We really did enjoy it. This was an experience of a lifetime. I know, DeJulia, you love this.
Working hard, 24 cars, every seat on a train sold.
Listen to that sound. Oh my God.
We're going to get smoked out here at the end though. So let me hold.
I can picture Banjock and DeJulia. They're ready to roll off their lounge chair here. Here it comes, baby. Now, you know I was standing about 3 feet off to the left of the smokestack.
You know I love you, baby. Love my kids. Love my, well, used to love my
This
kids.
right about here got real scary. Right about here, I was thinking, what a stupid thing. This smoke is going to kill me. Do you know how hot? You can't believe how hot this smoke is, and how smoke, look, it blows cars right off the bridge. And I'm right about, oh my God. D. Julia. Hey, listen, Steve, we're coming to your party Sunday, so you better like it. Look at this, love this footage. Every time I see this, I laugh. I wasn't faking either. This was an unbelievable thing. I had black rings around my eyes and everything. It was fun.
Oh my God, the adventure of a what?
This is what. Don't try this at home. All right. Yes, while all this tomfoolery is going on and we're watching old videos and everything, hey, this has been drying up by the heating vent. I can't wait to pull the tape off. Always give lacquer 24 hours. Now, I'm just fiddling around here while I'm waiting for Kenny to get here. We're going to go over to his, what it should be his new shop very soon. I got this little, this is a wire bender I got from John Brodak. It's a KS Mighty wire bender. And they show you how to use it and everything. Well, that's all fine and dandy. But what I'm trying to do is make up a fixture here with a dead stop so I can use this to bend all my horns to 90 degrees. Now I got to make up a lot of these 1/8" horns. So what I want to do is, if I can find a dead stop here. Now what I've been doing is taking out the part, checking with my, oh yeah, oh sure, leave it wherever you want. Seeing if I have a full 90. I need to go a little more. So now what this tells me is, once I do a test, I'm going to elongate this hole and slide this piece back. By having this little dead stop here and having it on a little fine adjustment, this is a real good way to ensure that all your horns or whatever you're bending in multiples are going to wind up being what they should be. If you really were going to do this in production, you could take a set screw and use a fine tooth adjustment. But one of the things I always try to do is never spend time doing something I really don't have to do. And in this case, it's just a lot easier for me. I'm just going to grind some off at the end of this. Take it over to the grindstone. Grind a little bit off of this, little by little by little, until I get exactly 90-degree bends. Then I can figure out my leg lengths. It should be kind of hit and miss. In other words, if I need more bend, I could elongate the hole. Well, I don't have access to a machine shop. The other choice I could do is just grind some of this away until eventually this becomes my dead stop. And once I can get 90 degrees, then I have it made. This may be a help because I'm sure almost every modeler needs to bend wire at one time or another. And the idea of having a dead stop, so important. Now let me just see if I need to go more. Oh my God. It's so good, it's unbelievable. Okay, now that I have this, now here's the sneaky part of this whole thing. Now that I have this, I'm going to run thin CA in here. You know what? I don't need to run to a machine shop and make billets of titanium or anything. I'm making basically a couple of hundred horn bends and having inexpensive, accurate tooling. This is plenty good. There's nothing really dramatically important about having a dead stop, because now if I need to grind a little more, I can just take a Dremel tool. Now I also need to mark exactly where my fixture is up here. I'll do that with a parting wheel. But knowing how to make up some inexpensive, quick tooling for modeling, see, The reason is, in the real world, if you were making 10 million of these, yeah, you'd make a thing out of aluminum and have set screws and everything, but not to make a big project out of making something that actually will do the job without a lot of hassle. And it'll work. Here's what happens. You need to make a little test to see how much wire gets sucked in there. So I can put a little scratch on here. Again, the whole idea is to do these things economically and quickly without making major productions out of everything. And I want to see now if I use that as my go no-go gauge. Now what I need to look at is, do I have the leg length right? This is my sample, and that's real close. In fact, if anything, it's a little bit on the long side. So now all I need to do is go a little bit forward of that and get me another little piece of hardwood, glue it on there just a little bit further up, and I'm done. Now, until I get a final dimension on this, this will give me the end. Let me get another sample piece. And let's just do a run through and see if this nice inexpensive tooling is going to work out the way we want. Again, even if you're not doing this on a production basis, if you just want to make yourself up a set of custom horns, having a nice piece of equipment like this, make it real easy. And you can get this wire bender right from John Brodak. I don't even remember what it was. It was inexpensive enough, though. The length is perfect. Make sure the two horns are 90. Again, you don't need to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to have nice tooling. And you sight down the wire, and you can see the wires are kind of even too. This is a nice little tool. Inexpensive, and you can just go grind out horns until your head falls off this way. I still want to wind up cutting myself on a sharp edge here, but again, whole deal. Inexpensive tools that do the job without being so fancy or so expensive that you can't afford to own them. Now I have the wires all pre-cut using the dead stop that I've already established. A lot of times you find music wire springs just a little differently from piece to piece. So it's a good idea not to get too comfortable with things. You really need to check about every 20th one to make sure they aren't springing more or less. Wire, of course, is a very variable thing. Now what I need to do is put a piece out here somehow so this will hold this flat. And that's the next step of this operation. See, that's up off the table. So let me get a piece of angle aluminum, and see, here's what happens when you don't have the angle aluminum on there. See how they're not bending totally parallel? Of course you could straighten this if you wanted to. I need to get a piece of angle iron on there, angle aluminum. They have a piece of scrap. This is all scrap anyway. I can just clamp that on there, make that a kind of a level surface. See, this is, again, the whole thing is you got to kind of invent this tooling as you go along. And, you know, just knowing how to do some of these little operations, it's a big help in all modeling. Now, obviously, you could, if you worked at Boeing or some machine shop, you could have access to a lot of machinery to make this whole plate out of one piece of hardened steel, have it heat treated. By the time you were done with that, you might not have any time to build any models. But this will certainly do the trick. This will get us through. Well, let's run a little test. All this stuff is baloney until you can run a test. Now by laying that flat there, that contains it in that dimension a little bit. Of course, you got to watch your fingers here now. But I know one thing. I know people that it's a big intimidating thing to bend wire. Well, maybe this will help them out. I know we have this dimension's okay. I know we have side to side is okay. I guess we're ready to start doing some production and get a couple of these knocked out tonight. Good little tip. Okay, looking around at this candy apple, the way it dried up, it looks okay. The thing you always want to remember about candy apple, it's a little bit thicker than normal. So when you pull the tape back, of course I'll pull a tin foil off very slowly and carefully. I can take the 1/8 inch tape off now. Actually, everything can come off. But the trick is to go real slow, peel the tape back. You don't want to squeeze the tin foil. Just some tips, some little tricks. You don't want to squeeze the tin foil and make little dents in the plane if you don't have to. By the way, this did dry up with a nice sheen and everything. I just love the color. I've been admiring the color while I made my phone calls this morning, returning messages. Sitting down at the desk here, I can look over. It really does look nice. I take a minute or so to admire this guy before I start pulling off the foil. Now this is the first chance I really get to look at the colors to see how I'm going to like the color combination. And I'm thinking of taking a silver stripe that's going to be in between here when I pull all this tape off and making it white. But again, I'll pull it apart and see how I like it first. Now the trick always, one of the tricks, lacquer has to dry 24 hours. If you try to pull a tape off too soon, you don't get it to break. It tears and it's rubbery. When it's 24 hours old, especially candy apple, it just tends to crack and break a nice even line like this. And it just takes a little patience, and this is the time I always want to rip it right off and get on with it. Just take a little patience. Anytime the tape starts to put tension on things, rip the tape. It's starting to come out nice now. Like a butterfly, it starts to come out of his cocoon here. All right. Now it's starting to look like an aeroplane. Now I know I get impatient when it comes to the last little bit of pulling the tape off, but I don't want to go putting dings and dents in this if I don't have to. It's a question of pulling it straight back. Now you can see how it flakes. You'll always have trouble if you pull a tape off too soon because it won't break, it won't tear that edge. And you need one of those nice new XL blades here to get under the tape. Boy, it would be nice to have good eyes. If somebody could figure out a way of having good eyes when you... Even with my glasses, they're terrible, and even without them, it's impossible. You just work that tape backwards real slow. Now any little spot, there's always little spots right about here where it doesn't really come off. The old trick. This knocks the edge down before you go on to whatever you're going to use as the next step. And in this case, we got one little spot here. See what happens is the paint is just the right hardness now. You can kind of shave it. You try to get the card on a 45-degree angle. I have never had luck with is sanding. Many times I've tried to take a piece of 600 sandpaper and break that edge, and disaster. The edge gets all fuzzy and uneven and everything. So I like this thing with the credit card, and I want to do each panel so that this panel now is finished and ready for the next step. Takes a little time, and you really have to go both ways. You have to go to the left and you have to go to the right. Try to keep that card on an angle, and you see the more you do this, it's going to knock that edge right down. It grinds it right down. This is one of those little tips worth its weight in gold. Worth its weight in Visa gold. Anyway, the family is upstairs I don't have a lot of time today. I only have an hour or two. Family is upstairs preparing for a big Christmas Eve dinner with my mother. 81 years old, and God bless her, she's still in real good health. She's in better health than I am. Affectionately known as the Mama. And we cherish every moment that we still have with her. Because she's the Mama. She used to beat the hell out of me when I was a kid. I didn't like her so much then, but I like her now. Anyway. Get that dust off of there. Yeah, that's one panel actually done. I'm making some progress here. See, as I start pulling off this 1/8" tape, I want to really be careful. I'd like to have as little repair as possible to do around these letterings. Same thing in the lettering, except I have to go in every possible different direction to get all the angles and shapes. Get as much of this loose stuff off as I can. Actually, you wear the card rounded off. Got to get somebody with a fresh card here. There's always a few spots that just don't want to go with the credit card. Left is this one panel here, and then I want to get all of the little edges that I can get off with that with a brand new XL blade. Get all the little pieces that still have to come off of there. Coming down a home stretch here, pulling all this off. And so far, I guess we've been lucky. We haven't had any big spots where we need to do a repair. It's all little minor edging. That'll all get done when we do the final touch-up. Coming right off. Oh boy, is it a good feeling to know this is the last of the tape. We haven't had any major pull-ups, and you never know when that's going to happen. You never, especially doing all this doping out in cold weather. This is a new thing that really not proven yet. Still fighting it every inch of the way, but hey, we worked on Ken's shop last night. We have virtually everything that Scott Smith ever owned, including his old underwear, over at George's shop. One day next week after Christmas, we're going to get over there and start cutting some foam and making some benches. Might be some good tips on setting up a shop. Look at these big chunks. Hey, it dried up nice though. Yeah, I always like to, after I get to this point, put it on the floor, stand back, look from a bunch of different angles to see if I have that look that I want. It's the look that's important. And I'm really trying to decide what color I want to make the little stripes in between. I don't want to leave them silver. See, you could leave them silver, but now you have the paint that's the yellow, then down to the silver is a ditch, back up to the candy apple. So it's a ditch you have to fill with clear anyway. And you could also add an accent stripe there. Well, I'll have time to think about that while we're doing Christmas here. Anyway, I'm real happy with the way this came out. It's got that overall look of a Cardinal. It actually looks a lot like the 92 Cardinal. While we're doing Christmas or any time, convenient, I'll hang it up by that heating vent. The more heat get to that paint, dry it out, the more you can do this, the better that paint is going to age. Instead of being, well, let's hope it's going to take a week to really cure out. It'll cure it out in a couple of days, I hope. Now going through today's mail. Oh my God, I got some beautiful mail here, but Ernie got a Christmas card. Bert and Ernie got a Christmas card. Let's look at this. Some mean person sends poor Bert and Ernie a Christmas card where all the fish are swimming right side up. You're supposed to make a card where one fish swims upside down. I'm going to go add this to his, what I now call the Bert and Ernie collection. Now added officially to the official Bert and Ernie collection. This is going to be a piece of framed artwork soon. Anyway, I appreciate the thoughts. But I'm still upside down, Wendy. You're going to have to hand feed me today. See, I'm really faking. This is the way I get this crazy Wendy to feed me, by hand every day. Ernie! Ernie, you're not supposed to be upside down. Oh yeah, we're not hungry today. It's Christmas, feed us. Give us the Christmas Hershey Kisses. Oh my God. Ernie, where's Ernie? Ernie. Don't bite me. Yeah, I'm gonna touch your head. Ernie, you're swimming upside down. I can't feed you when you're upside down. Nice fish. Ernie! Ernie, get back here. Ernie. Okay, pull on your tail. I'll pull your nose. Look, he's eating upside down. Oh, Ernie. Ernie! Feed me, just feed. Look, he doesn't even want to be fed today. That's it. Ernie. Ernie, I'm gonna squeeze your belly. Get out of here. Now he goes down and does outside loops for 5 minutes. Ernie! The Bert and Ernie collection. Fins. Yeah, this card came from Jose Javier in Spain, and he sent some pictures of a contest that they had out there with some of the models. Anyway, this is the most unusual Christmas card I've gotten so far. We got the Bert and Ernie cards. Actually, we got about 200 cards that I didn't expect to get here. You almost would think I had some friends. Not really. Probably Karen's friends. Now, this is from Spain. This is from Jose Javier in Spain. Of one of the little contests that they had. He didn't give me many details, but looks like they have some nice models here. They definitely have. They're definitely not all flying ringmasters anyway. This is from Luis Coelho. Looks like he took kind of a profile look, put the gear in the wing, some kind of, looks like it might even be a sheeted foam wing here. I don't know. Maybe it's a Prowler and I don't even know it. I don't know. Anyway, it looks like a pretty original model. And I appreciate, hey, Jose, thanks for all the pictures. What I like about having friends like Joe Adamusco, I get in today's mail. It's Christmas Eve, and I'm sitting here eating bonbons and open up the mail, and here comes one or more of these aviation magazines. And apparently it's got, I didn't really look at it yet, it's got some nice Spitfire picture on the cover here, but I love these magazines. Joe's been sharing them with me. I've been passing them around to other people, trying to get a little, these are great magazines, by the way. I may think about maybe even subscribing to some of these. And, oh man, talk about nice pictures. Look at this. This is the kind of stuff that you have, I don't know, in your library or whatever, and you get inspired. There's just no way you can look at this stuff and not want to run. Me anyway, not want to run out and build a model. And it's always a source of ideas for new paint jobs. The stories are great. They're always coming up with something that I never even knew. In fact, the last magazine, they had the story to beat the B-17 that they turned into a drone bomb. That was kind of cool. Anyway, some real nice stuff. I'm going to read this, and I'll pass these around. If anybody's really has an interest in look at this picture, XP77. Anybody has an interest in these kind of magazines, I'll be glad to share them. I know Joe doesn't mind sharing them. And this is what makes the modeling special to me. This is sharing the books. Look at this. Talk about exotic paint jobs. Now there's something you could use. There's just never an end to this. And if you have this love of semi-scale, hey, the magazines are great. Look at this, another Spitfire up here. And when you're looking for ideas and you're looking for inspiration, really, hard to be. In fact, this is funny. I called up and asked about these jackets last year. These jackets are so expensive, it's unbelievable. I thought I'd get one for Christmas. Karen said, forget it, you're not worth it. She's right. Anyway, look at this. Oh, man. And if you have a love of semi-scale, hey, you also sent a picture. I want to show this picture on. Look at this beautiful picture. I guess this is to commemorate our getting that Spitfire article published. It's on the Wall of Honor here. The Wall of Honor featuring John Brodak, George Aldrich. Who's this Polak? And of course the Ultimos, Team Adamusco. Thanks a lot, Joe. I appreciate it.
I'm dying to see that.
Me too.
What, Jackie Brown?
Yeah.
Jackie Brown.
They're coming out with so many good movies.
How about a round of applause for the woman that made this dinner possible? Hey! And the mama who made the whole family possible. Hey! Great Christmas dinner.
Good work, Mom.
Look at those colors.
You're all right, Karen. It's custom Jello pineapples. Stale rolls we got on sale for a half price.
We did
Now, you
that.
read the paper every day. Now, how could you not know that? They lit the biggest menorah in Central Park last night.
First night.
Aren't you paying attention? It's first night.
I wasn't sure.
You saw all the potato pancakes.
First night is something different, you gotta be careful.
Well, I wasn't in the store. I didn't know.
First night is the ultimate New Year's
First
Eve.
night.
This is the problem with having one Jewish person and one Catholic person in the family. See? You got a tree, a menorah, you got candles, you got rabbis.
I know. I was reading about Kwanzaa today.
What? What?
Was that the cue?
All right, start over.
Start over.
Wait.
Merry Christmas, Craig.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Oh my God.
Everybody.
You guys would make a great, we could use you on the
I'm going to
Titanic
acting
set.
school for this one.
You're going, boy.
Give us a count of 10 or something.
Yeah, on the count of 10, let's say, Wendy, you're a great person.
Okay.
Wendy, you're wonderful. 1, 2, 3, 10. Wendy, you're great. Man, how can anybody not like me with a nice mama like you? Look at this. How can anybody say I'm a bad guy?
You are the most fashion-conscious person I've ever known.
That's right. And in good taste always. Look at this roast beef. I'm going to sit down and eat. The heck with this movie. Look at this mess. This is post-mortem to opening the Christmas presents here. But I did get a bunch of tools. Sanders and saws and screwdrivers and grinders and who knows what. All stuff for the shop. This was a great Christmas. And just one last time, wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Now that it's over, we're ready to get back to modeling. Open up all these saws and Dremel tools and tables and get some stuff working here. I'm ready to go back to work. It's been a great Christmas with the family. A couple of great things worth mentioning. You can see on the TV there's a Trains marathon that's on for 12 hours, and I'm taping every episode. So anybody out there, I know the Julian, Banjack, they all like steam engines and whatnot, old trains. I'm going to have 12 hours. If anybody doesn't get that channel on their TV, I'll be glad to loan them, give them, whatever. I also got, for the train collectors among us, some new Lionel tapes for Christmas. Add to the collection. We now have, I think, every tape that Lionel's ever made. Maybe not. And a Birdwatcher tape. I think this is pornography, I'm not sure. Anyway, plus having that, got some real nice notebook paper. But there's some real good stuff. I got a new spray gun just in time for doing the Brodak Cardinal. And I will, now here's a good tip. Anytime you get a new spray gun, always use it for the clear gun and turn the old clear gun into, you know, the red gun or the yellow gun or something. I'm going to be using this in the next couple of weeks. We're going to try, I have a couple of ideas of things I can do with this. I am really excited about trying to use that. I also got, and blades and stuff. But there's one thing a lot of people out there might not have had yet, and we're going to be using this in the future. I have a couple of jobs. This is a nylon, they call it a Nylox. It's abrasive impregnated nylon. And it's good for polishing aluminum, burnishing things, radius edges of horns, polishing brass. There's a lot of good uses for this. So, needless to say, Karen got me the big one for the grindstone and the little one. So anyway, and a new polishing. We're going to be doing some polishing real soon. Anyway, and I did get that big table saw that I've really wanted, and that's really going to be a big part of our future, I hope. And these are just great. You never have too many polishing pads. Now, one of the things about our This is our old buffing pad. You can see how much we've worn this down over the years. It's embarrassing how long I've had this. I've really had this for a long time. Tell me I haven't done some buffing, huh? Anyway, what I'll do is I'll save this. There's always, never throw the old pads away. There's always some application for the old pads, and I'll explain that. There's always parts that need this kind of a shape or a convoluted. See, if you reverse them, you can wear out the other side. You never throw the old ones away, even though they get down to almost nothing after a while. Now this is just, let's hope they give us the right adapter. No, they didn't, as usual. That figures. Let's see if this one is the right one. Doesn't look like we have the right adapter. That's handy. Let's see if we got this guy on here. Yeah, that'll work. Anyway, having a nice new buffing wheel. We have several jobs coming up. Spinners, landing gear. Going to be making up our own sets of landing gear. We got about 150 blank landing gears here ready for polishing. And get that nice polish into aluminum. So it's a little bit of a trick to it. Certainly nothing, these pads are like $8, $10 or something. Very inexpensive. Always save the adapters that don't fit. You can always ream them out if you have to. You can see that's a little bit out of round, but anyway. You get a little bit of wax on it first. Always wax it well, with ordinary candle wax. In fact, we ought to zero it out. Now what will happen is the part of the pad that's white, that'll tell us where it's at around. See, the side that's high is always going to pick up the rouge. So you know that has to go that way. And even if you don't have it perfect, what will happen is the rouge picks up the high spot. You can hold the rouge here and see where it's going to come out high. And that's probably ready to polish now. All we need is something to polish. Black rouge, red rouge, and white rouge. The black is the roughest, the red is the medium, and usually, unless you have some exotic blend, the white, in fact I don't have any white, that's history. So, but whatever the roughest rouge you put on a wheel, it'll always polish to that roughness. In other words, if you put white rouge and then black rouge, it's going to polish like black rouge. You always want to have a little candle wax and a little bit of rouge and you're all set. I even have the big one here, and these are excellent. I had these down at Joe Kay's shop, and they were just, I'm going to take the rough stone off, almost never use it. This will just take a piece of aluminum, radius it, put nice swirls in it. It cleans things up, it takes paint off, it deburrs. A great $8 tool. You know, in any good modeling shop, if you have some of these tools are not really expensive, and you get used to using them, you really will get a lot of good use out of them. Good Christmas presents. Now this bristle, this is real good. We just take a piece of scrap aluminum here. This is good for deburring edges. Puts kind of a machinist, I guess you can't see that up close, kind of a machinist wire brushed finish on the part when it's soft aluminum. Now with any buffing wheel, you need to work it for a little while, build up a coat of the wax and the rouge. The red rouge seems to be about the best for aluminum. And just find a spot that spinners, mufflers, heads of motors, any little part you want to buff, polish. Get an idea of just, see, this is not really a well-finished part. In fact, I went over it with that other, the orange grinder, but it takes everything except the deepest pits right out. And if you want to make a muffle that really looks outstanding, just do it with steel wool first and then come out and buff it on that with the red rouge. A couple of new additions to the shop, then probably under 20 bucks for the whole 3 items. Good little additions to any shop. I think it's always nice to have a new spray gun. And anytime you get a new one, like I said before, my feeling is keep it for a clear gun. Look at it, they give you this warranty paper. Keep it for a clear gun. Setup is kind of easy. And it couldn't be at a more convenient time. We're going to be ready to shoot clear in a couple of days. Couldn't be at a more convenient time. But how many people I know, they get a new spray gun, right away they put red paint in it. Well, now you can really never put clear in it again. Again, these are decent units. Whoop. This one was real inexpensive. I know these were on sale at Home Depot. And my feeling is it's better to have 2 or 3 or 4 cheap guns than one, you know, the $100 one, the DeVilbiss. Certainly no substitute for having a gun for primer, clear. These really are nice little units. This I think was 30 bucks. Quick tip that I've learned, this little vent, if you face that directly back when you lock the gun in place, lock the top, if that vent is on the side and you're spraying down, it almost always drips paint out. Always have it facing totally straight back if possible. And I like to spray with the fan adjustment straight up and down, but that's just a personal. Shut this all the way down, and then this becomes your mixture regulator. Worth the price of this tool for all these little, these are like the polywogs. They each have a different sanding radius. I'm putting them in the kit the way they belong. This is really like a deluxe thing. It's got all kind of sanding pads and little doodads. I can't wait to start trying different applications of this. Anyway, the collection of things here, I'm sure even if you didn't use this as an automatic sander, if you only use these polywogs, it almost would be worth the price of the tool, especially when you can get them on sale for 50% off at Home Depot. And it's got a sander. I don't know if we're going to be able to use this. We're going to refinish the floor in a dining room. I won't even take this out of the pad yet. This is a whole nother thing. But there's plenty of accessories here. And we will be I'll put this on video, believe me. This is going to be a useful tool. Like a hard rubber, but imagine a nice, when we do the I-beamer, get the radius. We're doing profile fuselages and you want to get a nice contour. They have every degree, 0, 30, 45, 60, 90, all these angles, edges. These are a nice hard rubber with the reverse edges. This is going to be a great tool. Now this is one I'm really looking forward to seeing, just how many things I really will be able to do with this. And how many of them, if I can find even 1 or 2 that are worthwhile, labor savers, it's worth it. This is a great Christmas present. Now this is something I wanted for a long time. My saw first of all died and I borrowed Ken's, which I don't really like to do. I like to be on the other end of loaning things, not borrowing them. But anyway, I figured rather than replace it, for about $50 more, I can get something that's really a heavy-duty unit. This is a lot more heavy-duty. It's got a lot more accessories and features and a vacuum system. So first thing I'll do before I even set this up, I'll check this out. Just as an example, as a thing you can put on here as a magnifier, which may make when you do production work a lot easier. Of course, it's in 10 languages, none of them are English. But anyway, I always find when I read one of these manuals, at least most of the time, I find something I didn't really know before. And this is a much more heavy-duty saw than the one I have in the shop right now. So, looking forward to using that guy. This guy has a real nice adjustment here for 0. Real nice adjustment. It also has an attachment for a shop vac for picking up the sawdust when you're going to do some kind of major production thing. Also, it uses a little bit heavier duty blade. Again, the joke of it is this is only about $50 more than that cheap the one I've had, and I burn one out every year. It's amazing. 2 speeds. It's got a lock on it. So I would just have to say this has been the best of all Christmas presents, the best year. Thanks, Karen, the whole family. I love you all. Now this has been drying a couple of days. Luckily, it looks like most of the tape has come off in one piece. Before I go and lay out, a couple little thoughts. Before I go and lay out the striping, which I'm going to make white, I want to wipe the whole plane, especially the areas that have had masking tape on them. And wipe them down with M600. This gets off any fingerprints that may be on there. I also want to wipe my fingertips so I don't wind up getting a bunch of little fingerprints all over the place, because what I'm going to do, now one of the choices you have, obviously you could leave this silver and just put the clear over it, but I want to use a white edge. Now the white edge serves 2 purposes. It's brighter, it'll show up better in the sun than a silver. Silver really doesn't show up well in the sun. And the other thing that's nice is this is a high spot, and where the silver is, it's kind of a ditch. And by masking this back and filling the ditch with white paint, in effect what I'll have is when I go to put clear over this, I'll need a lot less clear than if I try to bury this in clear and have 50, 80, 100 coats of clear. And when I put the clear, I'm going to put the clear the same way I did over the open bays, only over spots like this that have a trim edge. Then halfway through the clear I can sand this down so you can't feel, if you close your eyes you would not be able to feel where these lines are. And then put the final amount of clear on. And by doing that you get that very thin finish. And when a judge, say for instance at the Nats, comes over and goes, you can't find the lines, that usually puts you up at least 1 row. I've used these colors before and I know they show up beautifully in the sun, but after wiping with M600, sometimes they get a little bit dull. You notice another trick? I have an old bed sheet that's been washed, covering a foam pad. The reason is I don't want to get any grease that might be on the pad from working on airplanes that have fuel in them up onto the plane. From this point on, I want to try to keep my hands clean, try to keep the plane clean. Even little dots like this, I don't want to get in the final paint. Well, another good thing the M600 does, when you wipe the surface, it kills the static. Where normally these little paint chips tend to stick on here, it totally kills the static. So it's one of the steps you wouldn't want to leave out. So let me get some tape and start masking this guy back. Looking at the way this dried, I have a real good feeling we hit the mixture on this right on the money. See, it has a little bit of a gloss, it's not too dull, and yet it covered real well. Now if, for instance, if this was stone dull like a piece of chalk, I'd be thinking, ooh, right now I want to put a coat of clear on it before I go to the next step, just to protect it so it doesn't pick up fingertips and such. That's just about the way, at least the way I've had good luck with it, is right about at that ratio. Thing too, I always do the bottom first. Never do the front first, the bottom. Because anything where you need hand-eye coordination, you're always going to be a little wiggly or a little something on the bottom, or you didn't put enough pigment in the paint or too much pigment. You get all that done on the bottom. Then when you flip the plane over, you're kind of fine-tuned in. It's like tuning up your guitar or your instrument or your whatever. Then you're ready to do the top. So without any, the Giant game is today. In fact, I just see they just started the Giant game. Anyway, I'm going to kind of watch the game and get this guy all back masked. Again, what's nice, one of the things I've used to my advantage and it's a good idea. It's when there's something long and tedious like this, having a radio, a TV, a VCR, well, having just a football game that I'm kind of a Giants fan, not really though. I only go to one game a year, and when Jeff gets tickets, if we're lucky. But anyway, it takes your mind off the tedium and boredom, and you don't start trying to rush through a job like this. Also, I'll be sealing up the edges with clear. So another theory here is, another good idea, is to get the bottom done and do all the edges with a coat of clear. While that clear is dry, and mask this piece off. Then you can go back, when you do the clear here, you can do the first coat of white here. Then you can do the first coat of white here while you're doing the clear here. So you can flip-flop back and forth. So there's always something drying as you're going down the road here. Now, luckily, I'm going to be able to do this in the house today. I'll get a fan going and a door open, and we even have a little bit of snow out there to keep us company. Now, one of the things you can do, this is just as raw pigment here. I shook it up real well. I'm adding just a little bit of raw pigment to this. I want to do a little experiment with the red tape that John Brodak sent. And I want to make sure I have enough pigment in the paint. See, now when you're spraying, there's a limit to how much pigment you can have. That limit is a lot higher when you're going to brush it on. Now, obviously, we're going to hope we can cover in 2 coats. Most of the time, though, the reality is if you want white, it's going to take 3. So what I did, I took the white, the Seafire leftover white that was already mixed. It already has Flex Oil and fisheye killer in it. Add a little bit of pigment, and I want to see how many coats this is going to take to cover. Again, I'm doing a little experiment here. John Brodak sent me that red tape. He said, give it a try. Well, we're going to give it a try and see what kind of results we can get on something like this. Especially, we'll try it on the bottom and see how it works. The only way you really know about some of these products, and I was a little skeptical using this to mask off early on when I just had the silver on, because it seemed like this tape had a lot more stickiness than the other masking tape. But now that we have more paint on the plane, might be appropriate to give it a try. Again, if it doesn't work out, this is the whole reason to do the bottom first. Do the bottom first. That's the whole name of the game. And if you screw something up, or if it isn't working really exactly the way you want, I know the glue on this seems a little stickier, and John said to try not even putting a coat of clear on. Well, I'm going to try not putting a coat of clear on one side and put a coat of clear on the other side and make a little comparison, just get an idea as to if it's really, maybe that's one step we could leave out. And the only thing with this tape, it's stretchy, so you really, as opposed to masking tape, you need not to stretch it, because I know it's going to want to shrink back. But again, I'm trying to work out a couple little techniques that'll help me use it. I know this type of tape, usually you do get a nicer edge from it. And again, we'll be looking forward to when we get the whole thing done, then we can compare and get an idea as to whether we're going to need to use this or want to use it. Again, the best way is, every person is going to be a little different, is to try, since it's only a couple of bucks and John has it right in stock, the idea is give it a try and see if you can be successful using it. You may come up with some tips. Now, John's tip of using a hairdryer to take it off, we're going to give that a try too. It's always worth trying something. Even if you're a little skeptical, it's always worth giving it a try, but give it a try on the bottom. Give it a try. Don't try it on the top outboard wing. Give it a try on the bottom. Hey, and if it doesn't work out, what's the worst that can happen here? You do a little touch-up. Again, the thing is not to pull on it, to try to just let it lay down. I think that's the whole deal. Okay, I've been mixing and shaking the paint up because I want to get a real test on this tape. So what I'm going to do is do the whole bottom first, let it dry. I'll probably go have lunch or something. Let it all dry and pull it up and see what kind of edging I'm getting, and I'll decide how I want to do the top. Always a good way to do it. Do all your experimenting on the bottom. Again, I think the little white stripe on this the little stripe goes so far to making it more dramatic. It makes a more dramatic outline. And you know, on some of the old Cardinal tapes, we've done 4 and 5 stripe widths where they vary in thickness. So all that stuff is still on tape if anybody wants to go look back at it and get some information. But this I hope is going to be a very simple yet a really effective, and most of all look real good in the air. Really have that Cardinal look. That look, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just the look. I don't know, it's a lot more dramatic with the white than without the white, even though the red tape doesn't really let it show it. I've done in the past of leaving it silver and then doing one wing and trying to compare, and that white really does make it sparkle, especially around the canopy and around the lettering. It really does. I guess one of the best ones anybody that's an old-timer can remember, the old ballerina paint job. He had the lettering all, boy, that must have been 8 rolls of tape on that. But anyway, that really was one of the outstanding paint jobs of all time. Even with the extra pigment, it seems like it takes the 3rd coat of white to make this really white. And if you're not going to make it really white, there's no point in going through all these hours of backmasking and everything. But it really does take 3 coats. I always try to get away with 2 coats. I always load up the pigment, but it always seems like it needs that 3rd coat. And I want that white to be absolutely glow in the dark, jump out in your face white. I think that's a key part of making this as attractive or as pretty or whatever you want to call it as possible. Take an XL blade while I'm doing this, and I put this little, I don't know if you can see the little cup end in it, with a little Dremel tool grindstone. And what this is good for is scraping the paint out of the hinges. At this point in time, this is a good time to get some of that paint out of the hinges so you don't get that giant buildup. And with this little XL blade, you can just make one of these up, and it's real handy for getting in as you go along. You can clean some of that. Now, if you don't do that, what happens in the final coat of clear, you wind up having a big piece chunk right off. This is so much better than that. This way you have a little bit of the clear get in and keep the seal for you. Takes a minute or 2 on each hinge. Again, a real nice handy little tool. Just make it out of an old XL blade. It looks like we're going to run out of tape here. I did get almost all of it. In fact, I decided to do the top also just to carry this experiment to its logical conclusion. But I don't think I'm going to have enough to actually do the letters. Again, we'll find out tomorrow when we go to take this tape off. I've always been in the habit of leaving lacquer, the tape on 24 hours or even a little more before you pull it back. And John has recommended that try a heat gun, warm the tape up before you pull it back. Well, we'll give that a try too. A couple of things we can experiment with here. Finally ran out of red tape. I had to finish this up with the 1/8 inch ordinary masking tape. But what it'll do, it'll give me a good comparison when the whole job is over, you know, did around the canopy. One of the things John told me to watch for was that the tape tends to shrink if you leave it on too long, so I've been keeping an eye on, and there have been a few spots where it's kind of come together, and I just, you know, like right here's one. It just was shrinking down. I put a little piece in there. Now I had to finish up using this 1/8 inch tape, but hey, and if this wasn't bad enough, the Giants lose the game to the Vikings. Oh my God, the world's coming to an end. Now we don't have to worry about the playoffs. Poor Jeff must be devastated. Anyway, getting this white outline on here. I know it's really going to take 3 coats, so I'm trying to get a little push on this. While one is drying, I can be over putting a coat on the other one. Anyway, I think this lettering is really part of the overall look at a plane. Maybe I can convince John Brodak to make the decal this lettering. That would be nice. I still have to do a little bird emblem for him. He hollered at me the other night. He says, and stop saying if we make a kit out of it. We are going to make a kit. So, hey, good to know. I think this is a plane that'll have a lot of appeal to a lot of varied cross-section of people. And hey, as if this wasn't exciting enough, tomorrow is Steve DeGiulia's Christmas party. The official. Now, I've never been down to his shop or his house. I'll shoot a couple minutes of video if I can, if he allows me to enter his sanctum. Anyway, I've had pictures of his shop on the video, and being next week we're going to be going full bore on getting Kenny's shop up and running. We have all the stuff in place now. We're actually ready to start making benches. We're all starting to come together here. This definitely did need 3 coats. I always try like heck to get away with 2, but it always needs the 3rd one to be that dramatic white. Anyway, this is just time consuming and I'm trying not to rush it. Looking forward to Steve's party, actually. I think it'll be. I've never been down to his shop, and boy, I love seeing people's shops, and I know he has a good one. Plus, the truth is, the Pensy guys are one of my favorite groups. Not the favorite group, but they're in the top 10. Just kidding, Van Jock. This is a little bit of a problem in a lettering application is, and the tape does shrink, it starts to shrink. So if you have a lot where it's overlapped like this, it's not a problem. But when you try to just do corners and edges, it tends to leave that little gap. 10 minutes later, it's starting to pull apart. But that's not something you couldn't work around. Again, I'm not going to make any rash decision on this until I see, when I pull this all up, how this is going to look once it's all totally pulled up. Okay, now it's a question, we'll put it up by the heating vent to dry. That white really does accent it well. In the morning I'll come down and strip the paint off, pull all the paint up, pull the tissue up, rip the wing in half. Who knows what's going to happen? You never know. Now I got down here this morning expecting one of 2 things to happen. And neither one of them have happened so far. Number one, I was thinking, gee, I hate to leave tape on any longer than I have to, but I know you don't get a nice clean line if you don't leave it on 24 hours. At least I haven't, under these shop conditions. Now, John had told me, John Brodak, of course, when he supplied this tape, he said one of the tricks was just hit it with a hairdryer and warm it up and it'll come right off. Well, I haven't even had to do that yet. This tape is just coming off like magic. Now, it didn't, like I said, I did give this a little try on a silver, and I was disappointed for a couple of reasons at that point in time. One of the reasons is we were leaving this out in the garage to dry, and I don't think the paint really, the silver part of it was as solid as it normally would be if we were painting in the house. But once you have enough paint, and obviously once you have this much paint on a plane, once you're into the color and whatnot, that should be good and solid. Anyway, very pleasant surprise. This is working really well. Have to thank John for the tip. And John, when you get to see this video, don't even ask. Just go down to your inventory and get me a dozen rolls of this 1/8" tape. We'll be using this on a new Spitfire, assumedly. Assumedly, I love that word. Anyway. I had the funniest thing of all happen as the new stunt news just came out, and I'm reading about one of my competitors' videos being more mature than my videos. So what I figured I'd do, I mean, that's the last thing in the world I want to be, is mature. I want to be young, not mature. But what I figured is, if anybody out there gets Modern Maturity magazine, maybe they'd send him a free copy. We know he's mature, but I'm not. Anyway, that looks great, John. And don't forget, with every 3 rolls of tape from John Brodak, you get a copy of Modern Maturity for those mature videos you've been watching. Hey, John, that tape works great, by the way. Now, I wanted to give John's little trick a try. Again, I tried it without any heat at all, and it seemed to be fine, but I know this in the past, you can soften up the tape. Oh, yeah. You can feel it's coming off a lot easier. Again, this looks like a real... I hope John will write this up for Stunt News, too. This is an excellent trick. So you never really know when you're going to come across. You got to research out all the options. And even if we pull up 1 or 2 little spots, it's not the end of the world. I just hate pulling up when you get a thing where... Now, you can get this, I've done this as a mistake too, is put tape on and then go put the plane out in the garage. Oh man, that cold weather. Bingo. By the way, this seems like it leaves a much nicer edge than the masking tape. Now, of course, we ran out of this yesterday, so you'll learn something every day. It's the thrill of modeling. Now, I'm having the best luck just using a low heat gun setting. Heat gun hairdryer. And believe me when I tell you, the side that had the red tape is 100% nicer than the other side. So I would think we're going to be using a lot of this tape in the future. And there's a couple little quirks. This stretchy thing, John has gotten around the problem by basically taping the tape down. And that may be one way of doing it, but we'll be looking for another way. On inside corners, you really have to tape the tape down. There's a couple of corners on here that the tape pulled away. I think I showed that yesterday on the video. But this stuff comes off so nice and smooth. It's a real find. Now, I used this in the past, and I wasn't really crazy about it because I didn't really know the heat gun trick, the hairdryer trick. That's part of it. And I don't remember what maybe I was using it on trying to make inside corners and it was shrinking away and I couldn't figure out how to get around it. But this is what's neat about having the videotapes, whether you're a mature modeler or not, doesn't matter. Passing along some tips and tricks is really well worth it. Always worth the trick. Now we're going to be doing, hopefully that once Ken gets his shop set up, we're going to finish this Nobler paint job. You're definitely not going to paint outside for the next couple of days. It is really cold out there. So maybe we're going to spend the next couple of days working on his shop so we can get a spray booth inside. It's really a handicap not being able to paint on a regular basis like I did in the years gone by. In fact, it's probably going to be the deciding factor as to whether I can even build another plane. But having Karen healthy is definitely worth its weight in gold to me anyway. Well, you learn something every day. And special thanks to John Brodak. That was a good little learning lesson. Sharing the modeling tips that we all know. One of the primary reasons we make the videos anyway, even though these are not mature videos, and you don't get your modern maturity in the mail, hey, it's a shame. This is embarrassing to say. I got all the way down to Steve DeJulia's, 4.5 hours to drive down to the party, and didn't have the camera battery with me. But what I did manage to pick up is some great footage. And on this tape, I'll put this somewhere on this tape of the next one. This is of Dan Banjock actually crashing the big flight streak. And also, a bunch of these Philly Flyer shirts. Anybody wants one of these, hey, give Steve DeJulia a call. I got a bunch of them for all my compadres here. Actually, I'm going to use them for my own self. They're all big fat guy shirts for me. This is my flying attire for the next summer. Anyway, I definitely get the dummy award. In fact, I hear the fish over there going, yeah, you deserve it. Look at Ernie swimming upside down. Ernie, you were the topic of conversation at Steve's party. Now swim straight side up for a change. Oh, poor Ernie. Anyway, we did have a great time. Thanks to Steve and Rosemary, it was a great party. Now, unfortunately, it is cold, damp, and now it's even rainy out there, so we're not even going to try to paint this today. What we do want to do, we're going to have a little think tank session here. When Ken produces the Prowler kits that he's going to produce, this is an original Prowler. We want to make a couple of updates to it, upgrades, and I want to look around for things that, if we're going to make an upgrade to it, would be very easy and convenient to update. This piece of wire, we know we can make out of 1/8 inch instead of 3/32. That's worth doing. The wire isn't going to be any different. We want to look at maybe or maybe not, and these are all still tentative things, having aluminum gear made, since this is always a problem for people. This, you said he's got this figured out already, right?
Yeah, it looks like it's not bad.
An excellent plane, by the way, and we're also going to put full Pro Stunt product bell cranks, heavy-duty controls. So we will have a substantial upgrade to the kit. I think this will really be worth doing, too. How does he mount the tank? I haven't seen one of these in such a long time. Okay, there's plenty of room between the gear. There's plenty of room to put aluminum gear in here if you decide to do that.
He has to use brass hold-down straps.
Okay, maybe what we want to do is get Brodak stuff for this.
Yeah, the tabs.
Yeah, the tabs. That'll work good. Okay. And if you're going to do aluminum gear, you're going to have to make an inset in here. That's one thing. And I think what you should consider doing is adding 1 inch to each wing panel. I think that would just, there's no reason not to do that. Then if you're going to use a 40, you know what I'm saying? Then you have that extra little bit of wing for everybody that's made these and they've come out heavy. That's the whole problem. See, it's shown for a max FP, an OS FPS. The problem is everybody puts a 40 in them.
Well, just, yeah, I've never seen one without a 40 in it, to be truthful.
Yeah, I haven't seen one. So I think if when you're going to cut a foam wing, it doesn't make any difference if you cut this 1 inch bigger or smaller, and you make the flaps 1 inch longer, which you're going to use 30-inch wood to cut the flaps out of anyway. So what's the difference?
Well, this, if we extend this 1 inch, this section of the flap tends to be stalled a lot of the time anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, this wouldn't cost anything to make this. If everybody was making these with 35s, it'd be different, but nobody I know ever made one with a 35. The only one I ever knew was Scott's little one that had a 28.
Well, that was a helicopter 28.
Yeah, and you definitely want to use the big bulletproof hardware in that. That'll fit right in there.
Yeah, that's a drop-in.
That's a drop-in. Well, you know what you could do is when you make your prototype model or one of them, make one with 1 inch more span.
Yeah.
And you like to do it that you could use a Brodak 40 and then figure out where the balance point should be. What's this nose moment arm here?
Well, I was just getting a ruler.
I thought you would. I'd like to see if we could get some aluminum gear made up for something like this. Okay.
We're talking 7.5 inches to the leading edge.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, the tail is plenty big on this.
It's yeah, 7.5 to the leading edge.
The tail is plenty big. You don't need to extend the tail at all. The tail is oversized to begin with.
Boy, that's a big tail.
Yeah, definitely a big tail. Well, that's good. Then you can make the wing.
21 inches.
President Nixon. Many hours of deliberation here. We're making up a hit list of things that we want to change on the new Prowler kits, the more The reality is a lot of them are going to be winding up using Brodak 40s, probably more than we want to admit even. And we want to try with extending the wing an inch in each direction, making the flaps a little bit bigger. In essence, making it a bigger, a little bit beefier plane for the 40, and making an upgraded hardware package.
We're going to try Dural gear in the front.
And we're already measuring and trying to figure out if we're going to use something like that. But anyway, this is just the beginning of the revision. I wanted to get a couple minutes of this on the tape. The revision of the new Super Prowler, just one more project coming your way. I'm also getting ready to make up another batch of these. These have been such good sellers, I'll tell you. Every one just seems to be just perfect. Anyway, and it's drying, and we won't be painting tonight, so I guess live to fight another day. So what do we do on rainy days? It's raining, it's pouring, we can't paint. We get out the video of Ted flying the big flight streak. This is the big 1,600-inch flight streak. Banjock wants to give him an enema right now. By the way, this plane already has been, this is the first day they flew it, already been repaired, and of course we have video of it flying. But on a day, look at this thing, it looks like a truck ran over it. This is unbelievable, Ken?
It's unbelievable.
Even on big screen it looks good, even on little screen. Banjock, I am impressed. And they got it flying. What a shame.
On to the next.
But the trick is we want to try to get, even if we have to pressure Banjock, try to get George Gatis's big ringmaster and this flight streak, of course it's been repaired, to fly them both at the same field on the same day, maybe at the circle burner meet, one or the other. And Mondays, oh man, I wish the rain would stop. What a mess. Anyway, Banjock's tonight we worked all day on all the projects, and what I want to do, even though it's pouring rain out there, I brought the compressor in. I just want to go around the edges of all the trim, and maybe around all the edges here, to build up a little bit of clear on this, so that this can be drying overnight. This will be just the simplest of things here. I just want to get one, maybe two coats, so that can be drying. Again, it's the purpose of it is to knock that edge down, because I want to go around here with ink lines. I want to do some letrosets or whatever. I don't know what I want to do. Add some trim, take some trim away, but I know I need to get a little bit of clear on it as the next step. Now, a little test that I want to do, it's still pouring out. It's been raining 2 days, and I want to get some clear on here. What I did, I mixed up a little batch with about 10% of retarder, and I just want to do a little test. I might not even be able to do this. I'm getting so excited about it. I want to spray one wing panel and see if it blushes. All I want to get is 1 or 2 coats over these lines right now. See, it would be stupid to put clear over the whole plane right now. Yeah, that looks like it's going to be okay. I'm going to give it 5 minutes before I paint the rest of it, because if it starts to blush, then I'll have to add some more retarder. And I thought I was going to get away without using it. Oh, thank God for retarder. That stuff is blushing like crazy out there. The beginning it didn't, but as I put the second coat on, it just went crazy. So, again, if you add more than 15% and it blushes, wait till another day. We may have to wait till another day. We have really run into a lot of Mickey Mouse little problems, but this is the retarder that I use. 3979S. That is a good painting lesson to be learned here. Even though I'm trying to do this while Karen's away, you can see what's happening. Whoa, let me get back here on the light. You can see with the retarder in the paint how it tries to wrinkle up the paint underneath it. Well, what it means is I'm trying to push things here. I'm trying to put too much. This is when you know you've gone too far with the retarder. and that's not a good thing. That's a good time now is just to back off and let this dry up and see if we can get away with having some of it shrink out over the next couple hours or the next day. In fact, what I'll do is put this aside to dry. This is your tip-off. It's always the tip-off. Let's see if I can get some of these other spots. It really can. It's kind of difficult. The tip-off, if you can see the lettering, it has a little bit of alligator skin in it. What that's telling you is the thinner, because we're having a lot of retarder in here, and there's 15% retarder. That retarder has gone down and it's softening up all the paint underneath it. And this is a good time not to have that happen. So what I did, I put all that paint away. I'll mix up another batch with no retarder, and I'm just going to have to wait for a day when it's not, well, you can't really see, it's dark. But it's basically pouring rain out there. And this is a good thing. Now see, a lot of times in the past what I've done is try to push. You can't really push. Right now, you would have to go to more retarder. Things are going to start melting, and it'll be a real pain in the neck if you start pushing now. So, best thing when that happens, put it aside to dry, and live to fight another day. And that's what we're going to have to do here. And that is a good lesson. Kind of stuff you probably wouldn't see on less mature videos. Still like the way the plane looks. There we are, the first absolute pictures of Ken's new shop from inside the
office.
Inside the old van. Look at this son of a gun is still running. It's hard to believe. The old green guy is still running. Look at the nice weather we have too. Great day to be painting. I'm glad we're not trying to paint today.
160.
Going down. Yeah. Hi, you're in there, George. Hi. Turn some lights on. Look at this. Whoa, we got lights. God said, "Let there be light." There's what's left of Scott Smith's foam supply. Now, in the next couple of days, we're going to turn this into a winter wonderland. There's the rest of the Prowler boxes. A man's life fits in one van load here. And it's only about 30 below zero out here, isn't it? Let's see what temperatures. Yeah, it's hardly even snow. Ooh, it's cold out there. All right, we're going to go to work and get a couple of minutes of footage of, this is Ken's new shop. So we just wanted this for posterity so that years from now when he becomes a multi-millionaire like Donald Trump. What do you think, George? Save your money.
Never left Formosa.
All right, let's go to work. Anyway, the first thing we want to do with any shop is just lay out, get some idea where we're going to build the benches. And being it's such a beautiful day for painting cardinals, this will be an excellent thing to do. Ah, you locked them out, George. This is the other thing.
Astronaut come to the moon? No. Astronaut come to the moon, they landed. When a Friday astronaut went for a moonwalk, he flew back with a rocket ship. Knocked on the door, every day, who's there?
Hey, less jokes and more table building, huh? What are we paying you for? Now this is part, we have two of these. This is part of an old waterbed we got for free out of one of my old apartments. And we're going to try to make a workbench out of this. The thing we're doing is trying to figure out how high we want to make it. We either cinder blocks, milk crates, something. If you face all the milk crates forward, you can use the milk crates for storage too. You give a one set underneath, one on top.
We can't put these under there permanently.
No, but they'll give you an idea. Then we can go cut pieces of wood.
Right.
Tonight you can go to Home Depot and buy some wood.
Buy wood.
Is it 37 and a half?
This is 37. I don't know if it's 37 and a half.
Okay. Keep in mind, we're working in a very extreme budget here. The budget is free. Okay, that's bench one. I mean, you got the bones now. Now you got it laid out.
The thing is, we have what money can't buy.
Poverty.
We have poverty, yeah.
And we've got plenty of it,
Stop
too.
stealing the
Plenty of poverty. Too rough. Boy, these old waterbed. Anybody throwing out a waterbed, use it for your benches. This worked out great. You got storage drawers. And we're going to obviously make some real legs, but this is any work area where you can have your tools here, turn around and have a building or a cutting table. We want to make 3 tables. 3 like docks for boats here. What we're trying to do is lay it out in full scale before we actually bolt and paint everything up. There's Steve DeJulia when you really need him. DeJulia could come in here and put Formica on everything and Anyway, it's shaping up, hey. Little by little, it's coming.
Well, you want that swing out.
Now, the hardest thing we've run into is trying to get the billet table. You need a 4x8 billet table so you can take slices of foam off. And it has to be lower than a normal table. So right now we've gotten this much in position. Actually, we got quite a bit done here. And we're trying to lay it out like musical chairs so you can have walking alleys and maximize the storage every place. See now to cut that billet again. The table, if it's too high, you're not working right. It's got to be lower, but this is not the table. We're just trying to estimate what the height should be here.
This space can I use for this area?
And keep in mind, everything here we got so far, except for Scott's stuff, has been stuff that people have thrown away, given away. We haven't spent any real money yet here.
Billet of foam. The billet of foam has to be. See, the question is the prerogative.
This was old furniture we got from Karen's daughter, free furniture, and these are the old dresses. Once they're painted white and all shop vacked out, they'll be nice. Old cabinetry. And old drafting. This is something Jim Damarell's company donated to our cause, which I gave to George, and he gave to his son, and they gave it back to us. So, and the last of the thing is the building table, and now we're just working on this deal for the billet table, because these billets of foam, it's a totally unique thing having these. If you didn't have big billets of foam, you wouldn't need that extra table.
Okay, and then as you cut them, you just go over.
Normally.
It varies from
Maybe you can get them. Oh, okay. Every company makes different billets.
See, now that's 4 foot to here for a shelf. Or thereabout.
Hey, we even, by the middle of the afternoon, we figured out how to get some heat in here. Making up some benches. Finally got the layout the way we want it. Well, what a Lionel train layout. Imagine Bill Mazzoni would donate all his Lionel trains. You could have Lionel trains in here. You got to put half of these drawers back together. We got all the tools from Pro Stunt Products here. Whoa. Yeah, you want those out. Starting to get to be an adventure. One with the back on already. 2 drawers fixed. Hey, hey, hey. And heat. Oh man, that heat feels good. All right, let's clean it up. I love being a supervisor. I could do this all day long. An old kid's desk, we ripped off the top. Took a piece of scrap plywood and we're making an extra little work surface out of this. This is going pretty good. So far, so good. Okay, what we're doing is just making temporary legs, getting rid of the milk crates. This is just scrap plywood to use up. Remember, the key here is the word free. That'll get rid of the milk crates on these guys. You're going to make a great construction worker, Ken. Banjack, you don't know what you're missing. Here we are. This is officially the day before New Year's, and this is one day's work. So I'm sure everybody is totally, I'm sure to Julia, and they're probably saying, hey, this worked out well. And the total cost, let's hear that 4-letter word we all love, George.
Free.
Free, yes. We're number 1. Okay.
Sweat equity.
Yeah, sweat equity. This looks good. Oh, we started out slow and we got slower as the day went on, but we did get something done. Oh, all right. I wanted to pass on one great little tip that I learned a couple of tips in the last weekend here. This is a real good one. What I've been doing is I've been loading up this mold every morning. This is, of course, is the Brodak Nobler cowling mold. Trying to get a little inventory of these guys going, so when summer comes and hopefully everybody will be needing a cowling or whatever, I'll have them all done. By the way, we had a lot of fun working on Kenny's shop the other night. I think I have pneumonia. Anyway, I want to thank Dan Banjock, who shared his Mustang with us down at Steve DeJulia's the other day when I inadvertently left the camera there. And he sent this tape up of the Sussex Air Show. Now, I haven't been to the Sussex Air Show in quite a long time, so it gives me a little chance to share it with, you know, without having to be there. And of course, we'll be sending Dan something, probably I'm trying to get that Mustang. Anybody out there has some Mustang stuff, send it straight to Dan Banjock. He's doing a slam dunk job on that, whatever we want to call it, geodetic Mustang. I think it's going to be a killer, especially if Steve DeJulia does the paint job for him or helps him. One of the things I wanted to mention here, it's been real cold. In fact, it was 17 degrees this morning. And one thing I noticed when I'm making up a cowling mold, at least I find it convenient to work in a cold. It gives me a little bit extra working time. Normally I got about 15 minutes of time before this goes to cheese. But when I'm working in cold, it seems to go to like a half an hour or so. It gives me just a little more comfort time to get the corners of the mold packed and get the little carbon supports in there. Good thing if you're practicing, and if you're trying to do this for the first time, or if you're early in your molding experiments, do it in cold weather. Leave the heat in the house down. That's a really good tip. I guess the final reward on any product like this or anything you're developing is when you get a nice letter from somebody saying how much they've actually how much time they've actually saved by not having to carve that cowling. I think this is going to be a very popular thing in the world to come. I hope we wear this mold out. By the way, Kenny is already working on some plugs for fiberglass wheel pants. By the way, as we're doing this, look at Bob Hoover here. This makes me sick. Bob! Anyway, this video, even this video that Banjock sent in, you just never have too many of these videos, even if they're not mature. Alright, we're getting off of that kick. We had our fun. I want to work on that Brodak Nobler for a little bit today. By the way, just to mention, these are the little things that maybe they're already on the video, I don't even know. Any resin I have left over, I put a little black dye in. I always have a little bit left over from the mix. And I can make up some little exhaust manifolds. So actually you never want to throw any, or I don't want to throw any of this resin away. It is expensive. But hey, another thing. John Brodak asked me to send him out some Focke-Wulf 190 documentation. I guess he's finalizing a paint job on that. And anybody out there that has any Focke-Wulf 190, some nice pictures, photographs, books, I'm sure John would appreciate a loan of them. And I can vouch for the fact that you will get them back. Maybe. Anyway, we had so much luck with the Spitfire project and the ongoing Spitfire project. So many people, Uwe Degner and Howard Rush, just can't even imagine how many other people have sent me stuff. I've returned it. I've gotten it back. I've gotten more stuff back. Just like this video from Dan, this Sussex Air Show video. Sharing this stuff is probably one of the, I don't know, I guess the most rewarding parts of doing any semi-scale project. It's one of the cool things. And Focke-Wulf 190s, especially the long nose version, so many paint jobs. Oh, so many. Even that book that Kenny gave me for Christmas had some. I sent them all out to John. I hope he's going to get some slam dunk paint jobs. Alright, let's get that Cardinal. Hey, even the scrap resin goes. Never like to waste anything. Always have this, I don't know, this group of little templates that I save, ink lining things. And the reason I like to save the patterns is then I can play musical patterns when I lay out any trim I want to put on there. I have some ink line stuff in here. I got to look for it. I got all the Strega lettering. I got my shields, all the stuff, and I can pretty much play now. I can say, well, I want to see how that would look there. How would that look there? How would that look upside down? How would it look if he was swimming upside down? Yeah, I can play, well, look at those letters. Yeah, they'd look pretty good there, but no, they're too big. So I can go back and forth and I can see exactly what I want to do in terms of putting some final trim on here. Now this is the original one from the Cardinal. It looks like that almost would fit there. In fact, it would fit there. I know what I'm talking about. That would fit there. I can just kind of manipulate that. Look how I like it. Well, obviously it's too big for the tail, but no matter what trim I decide to use, making it up in patterns, I want to put a little shield out here for something, or if I want to put shields in here, I got them cut out full size. Always save the patterns. Anyway, I want to look at a couple different options here, saying like right here, this is the thing you always have trouble with. You want to say, well, what would happen if I laid the lettering out? Oh yeah, that may not look so bad. Yeah. Or you can have your friends look at it and get a laugh. You see, you get a lot of choices when you have patterns like this. I decided I wanted to do here, I wanted to keep this kind of simple, so there is a possibility that John would want to make this shield part of the decal sheet. I don't know, but I will make a full-size template and make it a balance to have one on each side. Now the problem was I wanted to put one on the rudder too. Well, anybody can see what the problem is. It's a little too big. So rather than making two separate, I'd like to make one. This would be real nice if I could make one. Well, now I know that this one is a little bit too small. This one is a little too big. Now all I need to do is trace one inside the other. And the way I make these, of course, fold up a piece of paper. It's pretty simple. Well, you can even fold this up. What am I talking about? Now I can just take an 1/8 inch off of this whole shape until I get a shape that'll look good. It'll make it symmetrical, one on each side and one on each side of the rudder. And I can lay those out today. I was thinking one of the choices would have been make a big bird's head on each side, but what I'm thinking is we're getting into that, it's too complicated look. It's turning into being too busy of a paint job. And one of the requirements I wanted to have is this is a plane that's basically made to appeal to people that would want to build a plane in a hurry, not get involved in these 50 color fogged out paint jobs. So I think this'll, if I can trim this down and get one size to fit all four, then what can happen is you can have one template for all four of the pieces, and I think it'll be very functional and very when you look at it in the air, it won't start to look asymmetrical or something crazy like that. I think it'll serve the purpose real well. Always best on something like this, take a little bit at a time. Don't go running off and take half of the thing off. Of course, you can always open it up if you need it. This just gives me a rough look. Then I need to make myself a template on 64th plywood so that I can put a nice ink line around this. Yeah, without getting too gaudy. It's real easy to get caught up in making it too gaudy. It's going to fit on a rudder too. Yeah, that'll look real nice. Not that difficult, but this is the technique that you can get and you can try things out. You don't have to go spending your whole life masking things off. You pull off the table, ooh, I don't like it. You get a little look ahead of time how it's going to look. Now you can see what I've already done is there's already two little squares in here. I don't need these now. That I would tape this right to a piece of 64th plywood, cut it out with a brand new XL blade, and then dress the edges off till it has a nice smooth feel. And that'll be my real template. And once you have this little technique, I call it paper dolls. I don't know what the real word would be. Now in the world of computers, you know, maybe you don't need this, you could do this on a computer screen, but I remember Steve Busso made up those little side views of the Cardinal, and I sat with crayons and colored pencils. I know Joe Adamusco made them up for the Spitfire. We made little patterns for everything. It was so convenient. It really was just the ultimate inconvenience. Anyway, this has always been one of my little trademarks, having a little shield like this on each or many of the Cardinals. Kind of the little symbolic thing, and if John decides to make a decal of this, he can copy it right off the plans. There's one right on the plans. Okay, now all I need to do is cut this out, of course, and then the main thing is to dress the edges off, because as the pen goes along, you don't want to have the ink pen, when you go to outline this, that it's doing that on you. Again, you need to get a real nice smooth edge on whatever pattern you're going to use. That's a key part of it. If it's got a little glitch in there, the pen will pick that up and you'll get an uneven line. when you have a reverse curve, you really need to have some kind of a dowel or some kind of a tube to get that curve really nice. Now you can always check that you haven't lost your symmetry by laying it down one way and turning it over and then sanding the big side to the small side. I've already done that, and this is real close. You want to run your finger over that. You don't want to have any rough edge or it's going to come out in the final incline, especially if you're trying to do a thin incline. There's one more spot right in there. Okay, now the next thing is I need to cut a hole in here so I can place this in position, and the tape will hold it in position while I do the back masking, and of course while I'm doing the inclining. Of course, the idea is now to take little pieces of tape, put them over the holes, and we have just a little bit of red tape left. I like to try to get a red tape edge on this using that little trick John Brodak showed us, which seems to be working pretty well. Now, here's the thing. I want a reference line. I have the edge of the sheeting as a reference. I also want to stay away from this. I don't want to have half of this hanging in air. Anytime you have to deal with some kind of an obstruction, you don't want to lay out that side first, and then when you bring it here, half of it, yeah, you understand what I'm saying? You want to start with the hardest side first. So by doing this now, I want to try to get this in position where I'll be happy with it. Get it vertical. Maybe I can use a reference line of coming out right on the point. Again, I can lay it out, stand back and look at it. Now once I lay this out with tape, the idea of making this out of plywood is when I'm all done, I can press this back in position and put an incline right around it. Without this, it would be really, unless you're Steve Busso or a professional draftsman, real difficult to get that line in there. But that allows you to have the line just by making up that little 5-minute gizmo, and you can make any shape, any size you want. You know, I can get myself a reference here. 6/10 of an inch down to the hinge line. And it's always easy if you can just put a little reference so that when you go to the next piece, you'll have a reference. Now see, the deal is, and this was John Brodak's idea, is to lay red tape down to get that real nice edge. And I know I have to press these corners down. And then to lay out the masking tape that I've already de-stickyized on my shirt, lay it down to hold this in place while I'm doing a spraying. What happens with the red tape, it's one of the symptoms of the tape, is as you take it off the reel, and then just do all that, you can see how much I have left, is it starts to shrink back. So when you're on an inside curve, it tends to get smaller and smaller. That eliminates the problem. Of course, laying this one out is pretty simple. You just need to check that you have 6/10. Might help if I use the right side of the ruler. See, I'm on a short side here. So to make it symmetrical, I can just pull it up. Get it right on the edge of the sheeting, which should make it, give us a good reference line. And I really have to tell you, Dan, I've enjoyed the Sussex Air Show. And in fact, we're coming up on a part of the video where he crashes the big guy. Not like it's funny to crash a plane. What's funny is, if you turn the sound way up, you can hear Dan saying, "Ted, Ted, Ted, you're an idiot, Ted." Yeah. There's some funny stuff going on those Philly Flyers. I'd be careful of them. Anyway, I wish we could get this in real, like, super slow-mo. See the look on Ted's face as he pulls full down. Anyway, again, thanks to Dan for that video. I love having this stuff. Unbelievable. Okay, now you know you got the two things symmetrically lined up. Just repeat this over and over and over again. Bing, 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 and you got it. Right about now he's saying, "Oh, Ted, Ted, oh, Ted." Like what I was saying to Joe Adamusco when Tsunami went in. Oh, Joe, no good. Oh, my God. Anyway, if you know anybody in the world that's never crashed a plane, hey, good luck. I don't know anybody. And especially good when you see a plane like this that's been, by the way, this was crashed. I think I've already mentioned it. This was, and repaired. The flights we have on it from the Circle Burner field, it's already been repaired. So even more credit for Ted and Dan. And the coolest thing about Dan, no matter what you say about Dan, half of us like him and the other half love him, but whatever you say, he knows how to have fun. He might even have more fun than I do. He's got Ted and I got Kenny, so I don't know. I don't know who won that battle. It's close. Shown this chair with the little piece cut out of it many times, and it's such a good thing to have because what I want to do is lay the plane in there vertically now so I can work on the rudder. If you ever tried to work on a plane sideways, you know how difficult it is and your fingers are all twisted up? Well, if you come, obviously you could have a finishing friend, or if you have some way of holding the plane vertically this way, or even better, have a friend over. Well, we don't have a friend today. Chair is my friend, and a friend is always here and you don't have to buy him lunch. So I lay a blanket over there, just an old blanket, and I have that little trough in there that confines it. I've used that on a Seafire and a Spitfire, and it works real well. It's cheap. It's cheap. It's free. That's the price I love. That really does hold the plane nice for working on it. Okay, now I need to take a dimension here and here. Do that with a machinist ruler so I can replicate this. Nothing aggravates you more than you get done all laying this out and you turn a plane over and the other side is different. Okay, the next step here, I got to do the bottom of the other one. Well, then is to just lay out enough tin foil. I don't have to backmask the whole plane. Lay out enough tin foil that I can spray these selected areas. Okay, got the tin foil on the tail. Just got to get the tin foil on the wing, and this will be ready to spray. Dan, I love your video. You got some good stuff on this, I really have to say. Alright, what I've been doing, using this template, cutting out the tin foil so that I have a hole in there, and then you can use this to do the next one, of course. And all I'm going to wind up with is a backmasked piece of tin foil on the whole part. Now we're trying to work all kind of around the idea that we don't want to get any spray dust inside the house. So I got some fans going and I got the door open. I don't know if this is going to work as well as I thought. The thing I want to do is just put a very slight coat of silver on here, very light. Let it dry and then paint it white.
light coat of silver on there, what happens? You need 100 coats of white. Even with the extra pigment, it's hard to cover yellow or red with white. The silver is kind of a blocker coat.
Now, see, one of the things I could have done, I could have left this silver in the original paint job. Wow, that sun is getting bright out there. I could have left this silver in the original paint job, maybe saved a little weight that way, but this small of an amount, I don't think it'll really matter. I just want the lightest possible dusting of silver on there. I'll let this dry, and I'm going to hit it with the white. And that'll be it for today. Anyway, we got it all painted white, believe it or not, before the day was over. And I played this Dan video so many times, I think I have it memorized. Anyway, I would love to know exactly what Dan was thinking when Ted stuffed this. Anyway, we do have the white on here. This is going to dry overnight, 24 hours. We'll come back to this tomorrow, but hey, I have to tell you, it has really been... This is the time. It's New Year's already. It's already 1998. And for all the people, I've already gotten 6-7 letters already for the now infamous mature video telling me basically don't change a thing. I've got the formula knocked on these videos. And I hope you really don't mind these little projects that Karen and I share. I know the wives enjoy it. I got that information solid as a rock from Steve DeJulia's party and from many people that have responded to tell me basically don't change a thing. And you know what? The truth is, I'm not going to change a thing. And no matter what my competition does, my mature competition, do you know anybody in the world that wants to be mature? Not Dan Banjock, that's for sure, and certainly not Wendy. So, hey, we will see you on the end of the next tape. Thanks for joining us. Anyway, up by the heating vent here, boy, as always the formula. If you can get paint to dry up by a heating vent, hey, and again, a special thanks to John Brodak for the idea of the red tape and a hairdryer. That, I think, is now part of our program, and I look forward to doing some real exotic paint work in the near future. We're going to be doing a couple of real exotic paint jobs this year.
And speaking of changing the formula, forget the formula. The women of the world demand that your whole life is not just model airplanes. You gotta have fish. You gotta have all kind of things going on in your life. You gotta have fun. There's more to life than just toy airplanes, my guy. Oh my God. And you think I don't know that? Forget it.
I get cards like these Bert and Ernie cards that are now all over the side of the fish tank. Hey, and Ernie says, if you change the formula, I'll swim upside down. Ernie, get better. Ernie! Oh my God, there is so much more to life than just toy planes. Oh, this thing is drying up like a beauty. Boy, in the next couple of videos, this thing is really going to the moon. As that project is done, we're going to start making up the parts, some more parts, so we basically are going to be kitting this wing so that when a day comes that we can put this wing together, we can do it in a day or two. Got the carbon beam ready, got the ribs ready, got the blocks ready. Oh man, it's exciting. And hey, Bill Mazzoni sent me this. Look at this. This is Bill Mazzoni. He's a great guy. You need any tiger parts? Give call. Yeah, you need anything. Give Bill Mazzoni a call. Small donation. K&B 40 tongue muffler. He sends it as a Christmas present. My kind of guy. Bill Mazzoni. You need some Tiger K&B stuff? Whatever. See Bill Mazzoni. All right, and I just can't, it's hard to tell you, hard to explain as we start a new year just how much fun this project has been. This has been one of the good ones, one of the ones I will not forget in the near future. It's been great. It's coming. Don't think anything will deter this program. The unbelievable I-beam Joe Adamusco Spitfire coming in 1998. Hey, and here's what's coming from John Brodak. Focke-Wulf 190s coming 1998. I remember Keith Trossel made a model of this. Fantastic model. Anyway, just another great semi-scale project. And boy, John, you got enough pictures, you got all the books coming your way. You got enough semi-scale stuff here to choke me. Hey, this is great. This is going to be, even in profile, this is a nice model to model. Oh man, and if you're doing a fuselage version, don't leave out the cannons. Look at the cannons on this thing. Anyway, good luck with whatever you're building for '98, and we'll see you on the next tape. Thanks for joining us.